Michael Boyle's StrengthCoach.com presents the Strength Coach Podcast, brought to you by Perform Better, the experts in functional training and rehabilitation. PerformBetter.com.
All right, hey everybody, welcome to episode 396 of the Strength Coach Podcast, brought to you by Perform Better, the experts in functional training and rehabilitation. I'm your host, Anthony Rena. The show notes are located at strengthcoachpodcast.com. All right, today on the strengthcoach.com and MBSC.TV Coach's Corner, spoke to Coach Boyle about why he does not like Romanian deadlifts, doesn't even like the name, warm-up differences between adults and athletes. It was a little bit of something that was going on in the strengthcoach.com forum, and where he's at with Hunter Eisenhower's force system. For the Naamly Maximizing the Member Experience with Sumit Seth, Sumit's going to tell a story about a plumbing incident he had and the lessons learned. First of all, why it pays to hire a pro, thinking about the big picture with different tasks, and why do-it-yourself and getting support are not mutually exclusive. Good stuff coming up from Sumit. Guys, don't forget, Perform Better. A lot of education going on right now. Creating Resiliency, Mastering the Biomechanics of Movement. That's February 22nd with Dr. Jenna Gatsis. That's going to be in Rhode Island. May 2nd, Fitness Business Workshops coming up. One with Vince Gabriel on May 2nd, and then there's one with the Business for Unicorns guys. So a couple of those coming up. And they also have a few upcoming speaker schools. So you want to check all that out at performbetter.com. All right, lots of things to get to, so let's get on the phone with Coach Boyle. All right, guys, welcome to the strengthcoach.com and MBSC.TV Coach's Corner with Coach Boyle. StrengthCoach.com, articles, videos, and one of the longest running forums in strength and conditioning, which I will say, guys, it's still going strong. There's still a lot of information on there. Still a lot of great conversations. You can try StrengthCoach.com out for 7 days for free. Go to StrengthCoach.com to start your trial. MBSC.TV. You're basically a fly on the wall at MBSC. Staff meetings, programs, seminars, in-services from top coaches. It's really where you can get the most up-to-date programming and figure out, hey, what's Coach Boyle? What are they doing right now? How are they programming, whether that's adults or athletes? You can try that for 7 days for free as well. MBSC.TV. Coach, how you doing?
I am doing well, Anthony. How are you? It's freezing, but other than that, I'm good. So just in case Pretends is listening, it's been cold the last couple of days.
Yeah, well, we got it. And you know, as you know from probably Instagram, that I've been very happy because I might be the only one that's excited about 0-degree weather, because I know the lake's going to stay frozen for a little bit longer. And I'm going to Florida tomorrow, so I've gotten in like 6 days in a row. I'm the only one out there. It's amazing to me, but it's been a lot of fun. I'm out there playing with all my friends. No one. And but I just can't get enough of it. So yeah, I'm happy for the cold.
Like a Minnesotan.
Yeah. Mike, so last time we talked a lot about mostly the whole thing was about adults and barbells. And so we posted some stuff, and there's been some, back and forth still. That's kind of died down a little bit. But I do know you were talking about also the RDL. How you guys don't do that anymore. I know I personally do it. I know you probably, again, that's with, I'm assuming, adults, because you're going to need the RDL for some cleans for the younger guys, if you're still doing barbell cleans, which you are doing, right? You're still doing barbell cleans?
Yeah, we still do cleans. We have never, Romanian deadlifted, barbell, straight leg, bent leg, whatever. We've never done it. I was never a fan. I don't love
2-leg we're talking about, right?
2-leg. I just don't love the idea, because again, when you think about shear load, I'm fine with deadlift. I like drop bar deadlift, but I don't love that forward bend under load. I mean, for adults, absolutely positively not, but I still don't really like it with athletes. But the reason I don't like it with athletes is we go right back to that bilateral deficit idea. We're handling higher loads in our 1-leg straight leg deadlift. Our 1-leg straight leg deadlift to me it's what I would call kind of one of the big 4 unilateral movements, one of the fundamental things that we're trying to do all of the time. And it was funny. I just posted on my Instagram 2 days ago. because we talked about this. We had this conversation in the staff meeting, and 3 of our coaches went out to try it. It could sort of experiment with the bilateral deficit idea. And they went out and they grabbed, because they clean with a 35-pound bar. So they grabbed the 35-pound bar. They threw 45-pound plates on it. And the 3 of them were doing one leg, straight leg deadlift, but barbell version with 125 pounds. And they all did 5-6 reps with no problem. And I looked at them and thought, there's no chance they could RDL 250. Like, no chance. Like, if I gave them a bar, I don't know if they could straight bar deadlift 250, realistically speaking. One, because we don't do it, but I think that would be a little bit of a task for them to just deadlift it alone, get it to position. 125 easy. And somebody posted, I reposted on my Instagram again about he had done an experiment with split squats and front squats, or rear foot elevated split squats and front squats. And it drives me crazy because it's just math. There's nothing more complicated to what we're saying than math. Look at the load per hamstring. So 125, if they were doing 2 legs, it's 250, right? I mean, there's no way. And it's really easy with a whatever, straight leg deadlift, Romanian deadlift, whatever you want to call it. But it's really easy because there's no offset for body weight at all. It's not like, oh, what's the other leg doing or any of that stuff. It's just purely one hamstring and glute doing all of the work. And when you look at that, I don't know how you can't walk away and think this is just a better movement. I'm loading my back with half the weight and I'm getting the same load or higher on my posterior chain. And I'm getting that balance and stabilization component in terms of I've got the foot on the floor that has to, my tibialis anterior has to work. My perineals have to work. And then in addition, my glutes and hamstrings are working. My hip stabilizers are working. There's so much more value in unilateral work. And this is what I keep. I mean, I know I am probably the king of the broken record when it comes to this, but I'm constantly kind of banging away with people in terms of look at what you're getting from the unilateral exercise. You're getting more load. And most people are they don't want to accept that part either. But then you start thinking about all the other ancillary benefits in terms of a foot and ankle and knee stability and hip stability. It's the same exact argument as the squat. It's just being transferred over to Romanian deadlift.
Mike, just for people that don't really know bilateral deficit, essentially, the easiest way we can explain it is 1 + 1 really equals 4 in this case. It doesn't equal 2. You're
Or
saying that
at least 3.
Yeah, at least 3.
In terms of at least 3.
Yeah.
And the idea of bilateral deficit is effectively that when you try to contract 2 sets of muscle groups simultaneously, and the easiest I would say the easiest one to describe to people is hand grip dynamometer. If I gave you a dynamometer that you could squeeze and you squeezed it with both hands, let's just say you score 200. If I gave it to you, right hand, you're going to be over 100, and left hand going to be over 100. The combined total of right plus left will be greater than right and left combined. That is bilateral deficit.
Okay. Yep.
And the most interesting thing about it, as we said, is that there's that fact and it carries over. You see it in leg press, you see it in leg extension, you see it in leg curl. Anytime you can use muscles in isolation, you will see bilateral deficit. The area that you don't see it, upper body pressing. And it's one of those I can't really explain why it isn't that way. It may be because of the core involvement or dumbbell, but you won't get people who will be able to 1 dumbbell bench more than they can 2 dumbbell bench.
Yeah.
It also may be just a big familiarity thing. I don't know. We've never really tried to take it to that level, but in the lower body, it absolutely works. And there's 2 sets of theories. One theory is that the body finds bilateral exercise neurologically confusing because if you think about how we are neurologically, we're sided, we're handed. And when we try to do things simultaneously, the body probably has a little bit of trouble getting the signal where it wants to be. I always use the analogy. It's like if you watch somebody jump, everybody can jump higher, off one leg than they can jump off two. Not everybody. I'm going to say 90% of people, because some guy will write into the podcast and say, I can jump higher off two legs. But okay, you're the one. But if you say to somebody, try to dunk a basketball, or, try to dunk a tennis ball, or whatever it is, everybody's going to run up to the basket, jump off their left leg, and try to dunk it with their right hand, provided they are right-handed. That's what everybody's going to do. So we know there's this preferential neurology that is very much unilateral and diagonal. And we don't take advantage of that in strength training the way that we should. Or most people don't. We do take advantage of that in strength training the way that we should, but most people do not.
Like, how do you progress this from a perspective? So, for example, I do kickstand deadlift first with people, and then I actually do an assisted deadlift. And that's not just, it's actually a progression as well as a regression sometimes, because the
holding on to something, you mean?
Yeah, like holding on to something. I'm always saying, hey, don't white knuckle it with that hand. Because when balance becomes that limiting factor, I don't want that to be the limiting factor. But then sometimes when I put, for some people, 2 kettlebells or dumbbells in their hand, they seem, because it seemed to be like more of a counterbalance there. And then, so I with my adults, I haven't gone to barbell. 1 or 2 of them I have, but how do you progress or that from that perspective?
And that's why it's interesting. I said that in yesterday's staff meeting. I think we should go to more barbell so we get greater loads. I think we should try to make it, because I look at how much everybody feels that the RDL is a priority. And then I think, wow, then we should even be making single leg, what we call one leg straight leg deadlift. I don't like the term. RDL is another one of those. It was renamed later in life, and suddenly it became Romanian. So I just keep it at straight leg deadlift. But and people again will argue, no, it's different. I get it, but the way that we do it, it's basically, it would be RDL style if people chose to look at it that way. But we need to make that more of a priority. But we start reaching. So our initial, it really is a balance exercise for the beginner, in terms of you're just reaching with one hand and you're trying to get that. I can always remember, people used to call it a golfer's lift, because it's how you watch a lot of guys pick up their tee. They would pick it up off one leg and kind of bend over and pick it up with one hand. And we're looking at, like, we usually will use our racks, and it's like, reach out and touch the rack. Back leg gets extended out. Body gets extended out. And we want that. And that's why another person said, well, I don't like it because balance is a factor. And I look at it and say, I like it because balance is a factor.
Yeah.
I want balance to be a factor, because balance is a factor in everything. Balance is a factor in sport. Balance is a factor in older adults in life.
Sure.
So when you start looking at this and saying you don't want balance to come into it, I think I want you to get so you're really good and steady and stable on that one foot. And it's funny with our middle school kids, sometimes we might be reaching for months on end with kids, trying to get them to balance. I can remember Mark and his friends saying, this is the stupidest exercise we do. Waste of time. But I always looked at it and thought, nah, it's a really important pattern, and eventually we'll be loading that pattern, and you guys will realize that it kind of was all worth it.
Yeah, I like I said, though, I still use assisted only because, first of all, I'm dealing with so many different ages, so many different pairs of shoes, by the way, whether there's a certain
You have a much older clientele too. I think in that situation, I would probably be doing both, truthfully. I'd be doing some sort of assisted or loaded or something, and I'd still be doing reaching, because I love that. I mean, I have 2 75-year-olds that I train, and at least once a week we're doing that reaching pattern. We are working on getting that reaching pattern in, and they have the same thing. They're like, oh God, we have to do this. I'm like, yep. Balance matters.
Yeah.
It matters for everybody, but honestly, it matters more as you get older, because a fall now at that age usually means a broken hip. And a broken hip, usually, if you look at statistically, a broken hip is a close to a death sentence. I think there's the statistics on death rates after a broken hip. It's something really high. Like 70% of people will be dead within 5 years after breaking their hip.
Over a certain age, yeah. Yeah. I think
And
6 months even for some people.
yep, I was listening to one of my friends saying that his uncle had broken his hip at 90, and he's like, they're not even going to fix it. And you just think, wow, but
Yeah.
when you think, do I want to, I got to go in basically and do effectively a hip replacement on a 90-year-old who's never going to be able to reload that. I guess they just think it's not worth doing.
Yeah. I always add like a standing, like a 1 foot, like open tee. The tees like in
Yeah.
my warm up. I'll always on 1 foot. I'm like, if we're going to do this, let's do it on 1 foot. And then I always do the kind of like the way I think Mark Verstappen used to call it the airplane, where your arms are wide and you're kind of doing an RDL, like
Yeah.
like the hip hinge.
And that's
So
what we just modified that to a forward reach. And we do
okay,
that.
yeah,
That's always in our warm up.
yeah.
And it's some version of that is always in a lift during the course of the week.
Yeah. Mike, speaking of warm-ups, you were talking about, I don't know if it was on Twitter or whatever, just to talk. And there was a post on traincoach.com about warm-ups. Kevin posted, or somebody had posted a video, Kevin, going over your whole warm-up. And you were talking about as you age, needing to warm up. So how much different is the warm-up for your athletes as opposed to your adult classes? Because to me, warm up is warm up. Like you still got to get warm. And for me, I really try to focus on, hey, what movements are we doing today? And I'm always going to add some balance in there. I always add some lunging, like a kind of a Todd Wright type of lunge patterns, like lunge and reach, lunge and rotation, etc. All body weight in the warm up. But how different are your warm ups when you're considering that?
In all honesty, not that different because our warm ups are long for our athletes too, and our warm ups are not. If you looked at it, was Missy Mitchell Macbeth had made the comment something like your warm up, it should be 1 minute per year of age.
Oh yeah,
which I thought was kind of interesting. We don't have time to do that, obviously, in our adult groups because our entire hour would be the warm up. I said for me, I'm at like -5 minutes in a 1 hour workout because I need 65 minutes to warm up. But
yeah.
I would say we are about 15 minutes by the time we get through foam rolling, stretching, dynamic warm up, active mobility, all that stuff. We're probably right around the 15-minute mark out of an hour. And that was one of the things. And I think I alluded to that maybe last podcast or 2 podcasts ago. We talked about that first 15 as being really, really critical because it's the 15 that most people don't do. Most people are going to walk in to a gym and start lifting weights, which I'm always, again, fascinated because I don't go to regular gyms that often. So I'm amazed when I go into a regular gym and you'll see some guy who'll kind of walk in, flash his card, and walk over to the bench and throw some weight on there and start warming up. And you think, wow, this is it. That was me in high school probably, or maybe in college. But now it's so, people can't come in. It's like, okay, grab a roller and start rolling. Let's go. Let's get the kinks worked out. All right, you got that done. All right, let's do some static stretches. Let's do some active stretches. Let's do some activation again. These are all they're all bad words now, right? Activation
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
bad word. We're doing all these bad word things, but I think all that stuff is really important to getting somebody prepped to be able to then go in and go through the workout the way that we want them to.
Yeah. I think there's still a lot of, I'm not going to say their names, but some heavy influencers that will basically say, yeah, warm up's great, but at the end of the day, like if you're doing bench that day, the best thing you could do for your warm up is just put the bar on, I don't care how much you're lifting, just do the bar. You're preparing yourself now, like we talked about this, like leading up to it, so if your max is 225, it's saying do the bar, put some 25s on, put some 35s on, after that 45s, whatever, and start to build your way up, do 1 or even like 2 reps, so I think there's still a lot of thought on, hey, you don't really need to do the big part. And don't forget, people just misconstrue that as well. And they say, well, this influencer said, I just need to really do the activity as a warm up. So then they throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Exactly. And we still will do warm up sets.
Yeah.
From a strength perspective, but I just think that generalized warm up, that roll, stretch, dynamic warm up kind of process really makes a difference. I think that for us, I really believe that's the difference maker for us at Mike Boyle Strength and Conditioning and a lot of other places.
Yeah, and I think when you introduce these things to people, when I know for me, when I've introduced this kind of a warm up instead of just going on the treadmill, they've really responded well. You know what, this is what I needed. I feel like I just didn't know what to do. And when I give them some kind of a systematic approach from the ground up, foam roll into, on your back, turn over on your stomach, do some planks, get on your hands and knees, get on one knee. Now let's do some standing stuff. Let's do a little bit of locomotion and let's go. 15, 20 minutes. And they're like, I think once they get the system, they're fine. Right. But when they don't know what to do.
The average person, and most people, that's, I think, again, one of the things that helps us from a business standpoint is the average person, as you said, they don't know what to do. They don't remember what to do. They want to be told what to do. So I have athletes who they've been through the warm-up 100 times. As soon as we stop telling them what to do next, they all just kind of stand there and look at us like what's next? And I think, you've done this 100 times.
I know.
It'd be absolutely reflex for you, but it's not.
That's seriously frustrating. I have to say, I can vent here because I can't really with my clients. Like sometimes I get so angry inside. I don't show it, but I'm like, are you kidding me right now? This is like, I'll kid around. I'll be like, is this your first time here? Breaking their balls. But I'm like, come on, it's not rocket science. We're going in an order specific.
It happens to me all the time. I look at guys and think, how can you not know what's next?
Yeah. Mike, where are you right now? I just want to check in again with, because I've been seeing some more Hunter Eisenhower's force. I think he's doing a mentorship or something. He's doing he's got a better course out now. I'm seeing more people kind of talk about it. Where are you guys with it? Have you progressed it at all? Or are you kind of still saying?
I think we've progressed it, but we've got, the depth drops are in. Like the depth drops are in and are not going out. Yeah. I think we need to figure out where the drop catch idea, or what Anthony Donskov just wrote an article yesterday calling it reflexive eccentrics. I think we have to figure out, where does that fit into the programming? Because I do think that's the other piece of what he was talking about that was different, in terms of, if you look at the depth drop and what that was doing from a force standpoint, and then you look at the reflexive eccentric and what that was doing. So like split squat drop catch or trap bar drop catch or some of those things were much higher forces than what people anticipated them to be. So I would say, as with almost everything that we talk about, we're kind of halfway there.
Yeah. What's the athlete response so far?
The athletes are really good. I think one thing about the athletes I feel is, when it's good, they get it. And they respond really well. I think sometimes that's why I don't like the oscillatory stuff. That's a big kind of triphasic, the hamstring tantrums, and even some, like I've seen some people doing oscillatory dumbbell bench press where they're doing just a bunch of little, like almost quarter reps or eighth reps or something. I don't like that, because most of the athletes that I've seen who've been in programs where they've tried that have come back and said stuff like, they make us do these stupid like half rep things. And I'm kind of like, okay, it doesn't make sense to me, and it doesn't make sense to them. All right, we're not going there. Whereas when I watched Hunter's stuff, the depth drops and the drop catches absolutely positively made sense to me. And the numbers make sense. When you look at his numbers, it's like, okay, this works.
Yeah, how has it
moves the needle?
Yeah, how's it been with staff and kind of training staff on that? Have they kind of responded to that as well, in terms of, because sometimes that stuff can be a little, I've never heard of this stuff before. Where's this really? What are we doing? So
yeah, well, that's it's good, because we get at that in the staff meeting, and I give them the article links and tell them to go read the article. So I think the people who have questions can go and do exactly what I did. which is look at the information. And I always feel like our staff should generally kind of come back to where I am, because I think they're all smart people, and I don't think, and maybe I give myself too much credit, but I don't think that somebody would move me to change the program. And then when somebody that works for us would look at their information, that someone else would be like, "Oh, that's bullshit. I can't believe Mike fell for that." You know what I mean? I just don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't usually happen.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right, Coach, we'll let you go. Thanks for doing this.
Right.
And
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate you. Thank you.
stay warm up there. And
All right, get that last pond skate in.
there you go. This afternoon, then it's off to Florida. All right.
All right. Have fun in Florida.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Naamly's Maximizing the Member Experience segment, the podcast where we dive into lessons for gym owners that come from, well, life itself. And today, I've got a story for you that involves a leaky bathtub, a YouTube rabbit hole, and one very unfortunate finger, mine. Let's just say this one hurt my wallet, my ego, and yes, my hand. So it's Thursday evening, and my kid calls me to the bathroom, letting me know that the water in the bathtub is running and just won't stop. My wife, being the voice of reason, says, call a plumber. But me, I think, let me first assess the situation. And if it's easy enough, hey, I could do this. Fun fact, I don't do much work around the house, but I've been inspired by my gym owner friends who just amaze me with all the work they do. Construction, painting, rolling out the turf. I could surely do this and feel accomplished if it was simple. Besides, I also knew it's almost night, so no one's coming over right now. It's not an emergency per se. I shut off the main water supply, hop onto YouTube to search what might be the problem, and I find tons of videos, typically ranging from 5 to 10 minutes, walking me through the exact problem that I had and the simple fix. It's a cartridge problem. Another fun fact, I know of a gym owner friend who actually built a whole house by watching YouTube videos. Seriously. And this is a simple cartridge. So I ordered the parts on Amazon for next day morning delivery and have a plan. Drop the kids off to school, fix this in the morning, then go to work. I was feeling pretty proud of myself at this point. Had it all dialed in. When the parts arrive, I dive in, only to realize I've ordered the wrong model, as I couldn't extract the old cartridge because I didn't have the extraction tool. But do I stop there? Nope. I try to force it. That's when I cut my finger. Badly. So now I'm bleeding, frustrated, and still have no water in the house. Fast forward, it's late afternoon, a Friday afternoon. I've managed to somehow get the bleeding to stop, take one important client meeting, and other than that, I've got no work done. Finally, I swallow my pride and call a plumber. The guy who's done work in the house before, bless his heart, shows up about 2 hours later, fixes the whole thing, just like YouTube suggested, under 10 minutes, and hands me the bill. Just like that, my wallet takes the final hit. Now, as much as I wish the story ended with me saving the day, it didn't. But what it did was teach me a few key lessons that I think every gym owner can relate to. Lesson number 1, it pays to hire a professional. Look, I thought I could handle it on my own, and it was simple. But the truth is, sometimes it's worth investing in someone who knows exactly what they're doing. They have the experience, which I didn't. Whether it's plumbing or running your gym, professionals save you time, frustration, and often money in the long run. Lesson number 2, always ask, what does the end game look like? Before taking on any task, think about the bigger picture. Is the time, energy, and effort worth the outcome? Or is there a smarter, more efficient way to get there? I didn't ask myself that. And let's just say my finger and wallet paid the price for it. Now, of course, don't get me wrong. There's certain things that you just want to do it because of the joy of it, or it builds character, or you're just having fun with your kids doing it. And then it doesn't really matter in the bigger scheme of things. But anyway, I did want to make that distinction between these two separate episodes, if you will. Lesson number 3, doing it on your own and getting support aren't mutually exclusive. Here's the thing, guys. You can try to do things on your own, and that's fine. But at any point, it's okay to reevaluate and decide to bring in the right tools or the right support or the right people. It's not about giving up. It's about finding the smartest path forward. And honestly, that's why we built Naamly. Naamly is like that expert plumber for your gym. We designed it to make running your business easier with the right tools and world-class support to back you up. Whether simplifying communication, handling billing, or keeping your team and members engaged, we've got you covered. No need to struggle through it alone. So the next time you're faced with a challenge, whether it's in your gym or your life, remember my little bathroom incident, right? And then ask yourself, is it really worth doing it on your own? Or is it worth going in and investing in the right help and tools? Trust me, your fingers, your ego, and your wallet will thank you. Thanks again for tuning into Naamly's Maximizing the Member Experience segment. If this story resonated, or if you just got a good laugh out of my pain, be sure to share it with a fellow gym owner who could use the reminder, and give us a look too to see if we can be that tool for you. Until next time, keep thriving, keep growing, keep learning, and let's keep making things a little easier together. This is your host, Sumit Seth, signing off.
All right, that's going to do it for episode 396 of the Strength Coach Podcast. Guys, the show notes are located at strengthcoachpodcast.com. Don't forget, you can try strengthcoach.com and MBSC.TV out for 7 days for free. You can go to both respective websites to start your free trials. Special thanks to Chris Poirier and the folks over at Perform Better. Don't forget, a lot of education coming up. Creating Resiliency, Mastering the Biomechanics of Movement, February 22nd with Dr. Jenna Gatsis. In May, there's going to be 2 fitness business workshops, one with Vince Gabriel, one with the Business for Unicorns, and they got a few upcoming speaker schools. Great stuff. Check it all out at performbetter.com. Thanks to Coach Boyle for sharing his insights and philosophies into the world of strength conditioning and performance enhancement. Thanks to Sumit Seth and Naamly. That's going to do it for this episode. I'm Anthony Arana. Thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you next time.